Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate life and the pursuit of happiness. It's Batman and Robin Day, and this has made me so excited. So excited. It's been some time since we've had Batman and Robin, and frankly, I've missed my fix.
Well, it's been some time. We had it on a Friday. We've done a Tuesday just
Did we
recently.
do it last week?
Hello, my name is Keith.
I know. Let's hold on. Judah Whitcower. Hello, Keith. Good morning.
Hello.
How are you?
Okay. Tuesday.
It was last Tuesday?
I have no idea.
I don't think it was.
No. We had Chris Fairchild, Antonio Bryan on. When did we do? I think it was
2 weeks ago. Yeah. Over 2 weeks ago. Too long for our fix of Batman and Robin, and the listeners as well. Judah Whitcower, Alfred's in the mix. Can we get the Judah camera and you wave to your adoring fans? Over there, Judah Whitcower, and I believe we have his microphone set up over there so he can contribute. So, Keith, so much to cover today.
Hello, my name is Keith. What is it? What was the what's that? The Galaxy when the guy goes, "I'm Groot." I'll just keep on doing this.
Judah, jump in and help us out with that. This is where
Come
Judah,
on.
get the Judah cam in the mix.
All right.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy. I am Groot.
I am Groot. Asking me to remember what I did more than 24 hours back would not be, I can't remember that.
So a lot to cover. We haven't truly done a deep dive from the Keith Smith's perspective on X Park and that transaction, or the fact that it's now officially listed on the market. We also, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, folks across a 10.2 square mile city, have to discuss that City Council is currently contemplating and heading toward the finish line of a 10-cent real estate tax rate increase, along with assessments already upticking. Keith Smith's got some financial figures to cover here. Before we do that, why don't we plug Shenandoah Joe's and Dave Fafaro?
Yeah, man. The reason we started a little bit late, I needed to take a pit stop before because Shenandoah Joe's coffee is working. So we are on fire. I'm trying to find an email I sent myself. That's the reason I'm scrambling here.
You want to take a moment to search? I can kill a little time.
Would you do that? Because it's important about the X property. It's the zoning ordinance. So
okay, so this is what we're going to do.
Air.
He's going to look at the zoning ordinance. I'm going to offer some broad strokes on this listing. Lee Elberson, jump in here if you want to on LinkedIn. Our friends on LinkedIn, jump in here and offer some perspective. Twitter, jump in here and offer some perspective. YouTube. So here's the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty, as we let you guys know last week on this fine network. X Park, a.k.a. X Project, a.k.a. X Art Park, a.k.a. arguably the most important undeveloped piece of property in the city of Charlottesville, is officially on the market. The asking price is $83,974,044. Let's just call it $84 million. We're going to call it $84 million.
No, really?
Okay. When you're at that number, an extra $26,000 is no big deal. Okay. Total acreage, Keith Smith, is 17.47 total acres.
But it ranges between 6.72 and 17.48. So it really
there's two parcels.
That's exactly right.
There's two parcels. Alan Kajin and Ludwig Kutner are asking $4,806,757 per acre. Currently, there's 177,438 square feet of leasable space. And you have REITs, private equity firms, deep-pocketed individuals all over looking at this. I heard, and this is strictly grapevine, chitter chatter.
I'm waiting.
Okay. I heard a Hunter Craig Corin Capsule JV joint venture has been scuttlebutted around. To Keith's point, why would that not have already happened? Ludwig and Allen would not have brought in a listing agent to kick somebody commission if they can sell it to somebody locally. I'm reading your mind.
So hey, I'll get them used to it.
I'm reading your mind.
So hey, Judah, how you doing, man?
I've heard that the Hunter Corin, where you can do an incredible music venue there, that would be amazing, is something that has been scuttlebutted around. I'm going to get out of your way. Keith Smith, jump in.
Well, I mean, look, we're speculating here, right?
For the sake of a talk show.
For the sake of a talk show, have a little bit of fun, and we're throwing a little bit of facts and 3.5 decades on my side of the table of doing this. Look, by the way, our offices are there, so we're directly.
You got skin in the game.
We're directly connected. We're potentially directly impacted on it, so we've kind of understand it from that. Look, this has been on the market, but hasn't been on the market for quite some time.
Pocket
right?
listing.
Well, I prefer not to use that term, but it's been circulated on the street to certain individuals for a certain period of time, knowing that this was available for sale. By the way, much lower number than what's on the table right now.
Okay. Well,
so
the zoning changes have made it much more opportunistic. You disagree?
Well, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take the contrary position on that, just to have.
Love that. Batman.
Just to have that. Okay, Robin. Safety first, Robin. Look, the reality, and that's what I was trying to dig up on my phone. So I'm going to shoot from the hip because I haven't gotten to it yet. So let's back up for a second. Let's just take this project off of the table. Let's take this listing off of the table. Let's talk about where we are at with this process, meaning the land use process.
Flum.
I hate saying that.
Future land use map.
It just hurts.
Upzoning.
I have to hold my hand over my mouth because I'm afraid I'm going to spit all over your microphones when I say that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I got yelled at this morning for putting my foot on the door.
You did not get yelled at.
Yes, I did.
You got asked not to leave your dirty footprints on our door. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Neil Williamson has got an answer to Lee Elberson's comment on land.
I knew if I checked up enough time here, he'd come in with it. So speaking of Mr. Williamson, before you read that number, he and I have a bit of a bet, right? So look, the comprehensive plan is done. It's been approved. We've been talking about this for quite some time. It's a non-obligatory document. It is a visionary document. It does not have the force of law, right? Zoning has the force of law. So now the next step is to go through the zoning process, right? And I really wish Neil was here because this would be a really good...
I love Neil.
This would be a really good Batman, Robin, and I don't know, the Green Lantern, or whatever Neil prefers to his superhero to be.
Neil, put on Twitter, you're watching here. What superhero alter ego would you like to be?
Wasn't it cool? Wasn't it cool like Chris Fairchild took a villain? Yeah. That was so cool.
Titanium Man.
I was like, before the show, dude, do you really want to do this? That's a villain. You know?
He goes, that's a bad guy. And Chris goes, okay.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, he goes, okay.
You got to love the man. It's just tag him so he knows we're talking about.
You know where Chris Fairchild stands, and I respect it.
Yeah, you'll know.
Yeah.
But to go back before I lost my train of thought here on got thinking about what Neil's superhero alter ego is, that rezoning process is not going to happen, according to Neil, will happen somewhere around mid-2023, right? I bet him it won't, just because I want to have fun and I like to lose. So on that end of it. Then once that's done, then whoever's going to own this piece of property is going to take a look at it and then go through that process, right? So let's talk about what that means, right? So that process... Let me back up for a second. So this reworking of the zoning ordinance everything's on the table. It could be something as simple as what they call a zoning text amendment for a DE zoning. So that parcel is DE, downtown extended. So it's currently zoned DE. So what the city could do is say, okay, these parcels DE, they're not DE anymore, they're A, B, C, D, F, G, whatever new zoning that they come up with that meets that criteria. That's one potential option. The second potential option, and Neil, correct me if I'm wrong here, man, is they could take the DE and just do a zoning text amendment. In other words, and say, okay, we're just adding some more by right uses in it, some different criteria that's listed in the DE zoning. The third thing they can do is they can say, okay, we're leaving everything alone, but what we're going to do is add an SUP, special use permit, condition to the zoning. And I hope I'm not geeking out here, man.
No, keep going, dude. We love when you geek out.
On that, which is an interesting thing. If they go that path, even though it's not being rezoned, it's really a rezoning action when they go through an SUP. We learned this the other day on Tuesday. The real main difference from an applicant's perspective between a rezoning and an SUP under current state law, a SUP, the jurisdiction, the elected officials can put conditions on it. They can say, we want you to plant the grass upside down, whatever. Zoning, they can't. The state has taken away the ability for jurisdictions to say, Mr. Miller, I want you to proffer that you will plant the grass upside down. That is taken off the table. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is where we're at. So there's a lot of work that has to be done.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm getting where you want to be.
I'm with you. Viewers are with you. We have smart listenership.
Where you want to be. So I guess what I'm trying to get out, and then there has to be a site plan process that goes through, which could take. So anything that's going to happen there, even if a buyer walks in today, is years down the road.
I think we know that. I think we know
some
that.
people that I'm talking to thinking, oh my God, it's going to change right away.
Well, I think we know that. And I think we also know that another thing that we have to acknowledge is a lot of active leases at IX. Okay? Those leases got to be honored.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. So unless you've got a 5-year lease or a 10-year lease.
I'm not going to say which one had a conversation, and it's not the
where I'm at.
It's not where you're at, and it's not Patty Zeller.
Got it.
Okay, at Animal Connection, had a conversation with another owner at IX, and they're under lease through 2026.
Got it.
Through 2026. Yeah. So that's what, 4 years from now.
Sure.
So, and those leases have to be honored. Now, it is important to emphasize a couple things, and I hope you emphasize these things with me. The potential is astronomical.
Yes and no. Maybe yes, maybe no yes.
Oh, maybe yes, maybe no yes.
Maybe yes, maybe no yes. It really depends on how this rezoning process goes through. And, this rewriting of the zoning and what the rules and regulations are going to be. That really is depending on what can be used. So one needs to look, and that's what I was trying to do before the show, and I just didn't get to it. And maybe Neil can drop into the feed the off of what the DE zoning requirements are for that particular area. I mean, the first thing that one would do, just to putting a developer hat on, is say, okay, here's the purchase price, here's the zoning, here's the land. What can I do in this DE environment right now?
Neil Williamson wants the Captain America alter ego.
Oh, I can see that.
So we're going to call Neil Williamson Captain America. We're going to let you know the 2021 total value of property in the city of Charlottesville. The source is the city of Charlottesville. Total number of taxable parcels in the city of Charlottesville, 15,148. Total taxable assessed land value. Good Lord, that's a big number.
It's got a ton of zeros in it.
$2,648,111,900.
So we'll call it 2.5 billion, roughly, just to round it to a middle number.
Total taxable taxes is $79,963,975. That's the most important number. Total taxable taxes, call it 80 million.
It's got 80 million in revenue coming in.
City of Charlottesville has roughly a yearly budget just north of 200 million.
Yeah.
So you're looking at a yearly budget just north of 200 million in the city of Charlottesville. 80 million in 2021 comes from real estate taxes.
And then the rest is from the
Meals
state,
tax,
Fed,
TOT,
all these different things.
Yeah. So let's take a deep dive on IX. People are asking about IX here.
Yeah, so I think personally, back of the envelope scratching, I think 84 million is a bit too strong to make something work under the DE ordinances currently. So I'm sure when that was priced out, it was priced out with some future value in mind. But that future value in mind is quite a ways out. Unless there's somebody looking to do a 1031 exchange that have sold something somewhere and is just looking to buy it and hold it, and see what transpires over the next 12, 24 months. I don't know. I know a little bit of players in this field. And,
you do?
And at least the local players I'm talking to, nobody's interested at that price point.
Gwendolyn Cassidy is watching in Holland. Hello, Gwendolyn. She says, I appreciate learning this information. Joanne Mackey is watching in Keswick. She says, this is great. I'd love to learn.
Batman Robin.
Stephen Sterling is watching in Crozet. Please, more of this. So obviously we're onto something here. We want a little devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show.
I'll play.
Okay, let's play. Richard Hewitt purchased Fashion Square Mall. Yeah. Fashion Square Mall and multiple transactions. Richard Hewitt, I watched on the courthouse steps. Yeah. Which was exhilarating for somebody like me.
Oh yeah.
In this bidding war.
That's fun. That is fun to attend. It's not so fun to be on the other side of the equation.
Yeah, not fun to be the person losing the property,
yep.
Seeing your property go. Long story short, Fashion Square Mall, $24 million.
But it's not all the parcels, though.
He got two of them. Yeah, somebody offer some help on that. Neil, you've been very helpful here.
They have not received all the parcels. These were just a certain number of parcels that were done. There's multiple parcels.
He got J.C. Penney's site on September 10th, 2020 for $4.5 million.
That's exactly right.
Then on July 16th, 2021, Washington Prime Group auctioned its remaining property in the steps of Albemarle County Courthouse, and Hewitt for $20,200,000 got the rest of Washington Prime Group got. So if you combine those two, you're looking at, let's call it, for the sake of a talk show, easy math, $25 million.
But it's
not
rounded up. All the parcels that comprise what we call
Fashion Scare.
Fashion Scare.
Fashion Scare. So let's go Ivy Square.
Well, let's stay on that. So that conversation comes up all the time. Well, how come we're not doing anything with it? And part of it is there's missing parcels that need to be connected before something can be done with that. Neil might correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I'm right.
I think Neil will correct us if we're wrong.
I know that.
Ivy Square Shopping Center was purchased by an entity associated with the UVA Foundation.
Sure.
That purchase, and I'm doing some quick Googling right now, $20 million, sure. UVA Foundation, for 2.77 acres.
Got it. So when UVA, and I know a little bit about this, so when UVA Foundation buys something, it's really a buy and hold scenario, right? So they're interested in buy and hold, and I'm pretty sure UVA has no intentions to redevelop it. This parcel is different. I may be wrong, but and I've been wrong probably more times than I've been right.
That's not true.
Well, my betting history will tell you that.
Oh yeah, you've lost a couple prop bets.
But I do.
Those are prop bets.
Yeah.
Those are shoot from the hip bets.
Well,
when you think about it through, you're rarely wrong.
Correct.
Yeah.
So my crystal ball, which we didn't break out yet today for the show, I don't see where UVA would step in and buy this. I just don't see it. I may be wrong. I mean, they sure as heck got the pockets to do it, right? But I don't know how that gets through their committee and what you're going to do with this, unless they really intend to buy and hold it. Generally, when UVA goes in to buy and hold properties, it's just been my limited experience with that, is with their intention to grow the university at some point, right? So, for instance, the data science building, which they, I believe, just broke ground on
Ivy Road
the other day, right? So that was bought at some point in time with the intent to grow the university. And who knows, maybe somebody's thinking, hey, let's buy this to grow the university closer to downtown. I don't know. I would, if I was a bet man, I'd probably say that's not going to happen. I think you're more looking towards somebody that's a little like a national firm.
Well, let's put this in perspective. And let's do a quick Google search, guys. Shops at Stonefield. Shops at Stonefield were purchased by a private equity firm outside the Big Apple.
That's correct, yeah.
The shops at Stonefield are not locally owned. I'll see if I can do a little find on who owns the shops at Stonefield.
But location matters, right? Location matters. We talk about this all the time. It's the 5 things. It's the same on commercial as it is with residential. That I could see. That's on a corridor. That kind of made sense what they're trying to do there. If you're thinking somebody's going to buy X Park and make a Stonefield.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Okay, I found the article. I'll post this in the comment section of my personal Facebook page and on Twitter and LinkedIn here. A New York-based company, this is from December 28th, 2016. A New York-based company has taken over a Charlottesville shopping center. O'Connor Capital Partners has purchased the shops at Stonefield. A company is privately owned, independent real estate investment, development, and management firm. Do we have a price tag on here in the article? We do not have a price tag. I'll see if I can recon through text message.
So if I had a crystal ball on this end of it, that almost makes sense, right? You know, well, look, a lot of equity firms are moving properties around all the time. They could potentially move something around or sell something before and have a little bit of residual left over looking for a 1031 exchange. That I see as a path forward. And just somebody that wants to buy and hold it and see how this process goes through. But at the moment, under its current zoning, I don't know how you get that math to work and get the density to work. And I know a little bit about this and how you're going to get the development to work and how you're going to get your infrastructure through there, how you're going to get your building. I just don't see the math working.
So let me ask you this. Where does the math need to be?
Much less than that, that's for sure. 15
million? 20 million?
Yeah, you know, I haven't. So literally the math was on the back of a sheet of piece of paper before the show comes in. So I don't want to throw a number out that's not wrong, but I just know that's not the number. It's a little on the high side. I will tell you though, if the city changes the zoning in some way, then that number makes sense. So look, I may be wrong, but I think this was and very, very, very smartly done by, I might add, thrown out there.
Ludwig and Allen?
Very smartly.
Okay, explain to me why.
Well, because of what we're doing right now. We're talking about it, right?
They're getting interest.
It's freaking genius, right? Just throw it out there, get a little traction, see how things are going. It's genius. You know, I just don't think that number is the number.
Okay, let me ask you a follow-up question. Do you think they're legitimately interested in selling the property? Second follow-up question is this.
Somebody who walks and gives them
$84 million. They're going to say, hell yeah, let's do it.
Well, look, it requires them to say yes, too. And look, just to put a little clarity to this, this is the way this path works. If Keith, Jerry, and Judah, okay, Jerry and Judah, I'll help you negotiate it, gets $84 million, and we want to say, okay, we're going to buy this. This thing is going to be under a substantially long study period.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Dude, it would be
months and months and months.
And can you imagine the community engagement over a property like this on both sides?
Oh no, that's not what I'm talking about. So this is the three of, whoever, Mickey Mouse is going to want to negotiate to buy this. This will go, what will happen is we'll walk in, we'll do an LOI, letter of intent, and we say, okay, here's our terms and conditions, this is what we're going to work, and before we move forward, we internally want to do a 6-month study period, a 9-month study period. Somebody is going to spend a ton of time and money to study this before it even goes deep into a contract process and or closes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So it won't go out to the public. This will be an internal, whoever's looking to purchase this will do all commercial transactions go that way. There's generally a study period in it.
Justine Montgomery is watching. Is it Maine?
No.
New Hampshire.
Well, she was in Vermont, but she may be up in New Hampshire. I saw her post.
She says, I hope that the important city history of the Ix property isn't completely lost going forward.
So she can speak because she is a Ix. By marriage, you're 100% right. This is an interesting proposal that was thrown out there. I just think there's a lot of runway and a lot of work that's going to go on before this even goes anywhere.
She's in Vermont. She's in Vermont right now.
But she just recently was in New Hampshire. I saw her on a post.
Welcome Vermont and Holland to the program. Yes, the country Holland. Gwendolyn, we love when you participate in the show. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to put this in very layman's terms. We got a city that is landlocked.
Sure.
It's 10.2 square miles. We have 17.5 acres. A quarter mile to half a mile. Maybe not that. How far do you think it is from the downtown mall?
To here?
Quarter mile?
I walk it every day. It's a half a mile.
It's a half mile.
Literally a half a mile.
Okay.
From this studio to my office is a half a mile.
So you've got 17 and a half acres, a half mile off the downtown mall. We got a city that has no more land for housing.
Oh, it's exciting.
We got housing so freaking expensive that people are getting priced out. Yeah. We have yet to discuss, ladies and gentlemen, this 10-cent real estate tax rate increase that's about to happen, that Keith has a case study for, plus the 12% on average across the city increase in assessments. So people are getting hit assessment increases and tax rate increases at the same time that inflation is up 7% in our community. So dude, you're getting hit 3 different ways if you're on a fixed income in the city of Charlottesville, okay? We got a piece of parcel that we can legitimately say may be underutilized.
Well, that depends on your opinion of that, right? So maybe it's underutilized to you and maybe it's not underutilized to me. Excuse me. I'm not saying that's the case on that end of it, but it is, from where we're sitting, the largest parcel of property available to do something with.
By far.
Correct. Yeah.
What's the second?
Oh, God. I don't think there is one. Well, it would be down by the train station, would be the city yard. I think is the second largest parcel that I can think of off the top of my head. But I'm talking like 17 acres. There's not that many parcels that are available within that. So as you were speaking, here's my interesting takeaway from this. And this going live actually may have done everybody a little bit of a favor. And why is that? So maybe now folks will get engaged in this process, this rezoning process going forward, because this has got everybody talking about it. So I'm excited from that perspective that, you know, there'll be other faces, there'll be other voices part of this rezoning next step in the city, and this may have been the driver to bring some folks to the table that may not have picked up the phone or may not have responded to a survey or may not want to normally get engaged. So maybe this will make everything better, and that's me being the optimist on that stuff.
Multiple people asking because they know you have this connection. Would the Manning Henry Group be interested in X project?
I don't know for a fact, but if I was a betting man, I'd say probably not.
Okay. Because they've done some special things.
They've done some special things. I just don't think you can get, you know, these are really smart people that know how to do math. I don't think they'll figure the math doesn't work out pretty quickly.
Okay. Follow-up question.
But it depends on what happens, and that's why I did my little monologue about please get engaged, please get involved, and that this is how this project is going to go is going to depend upon this next step with the city.
The fabulous Gwendolyn, Gail, Cassidy, and Holland, Stonefield.
Let me see what time is it?
121 million.
It's time for a cocktail for her.
121 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Corresponding with a fabulous,
but it's,
you know who I'm corresponding with right now? In the real estate commercial game. We'll just leave it at that.
I think I know who you are.
Sending me the GIS information.
For
Stonefield,
yeah.
as we speak.
Yeah, sure.
Love you.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Totally.
Offer fantastic perspective.
And
not blowing up your spot.
And there's always a seat available.
Yeah, anytime you want to come on.
Always a seat.
Appreciate the background information.
Look at that, huh? We do this without even talking about people.
All right. For this, it's important.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. O'Connor Capital.
Yep.
Out of New York. 121,098,084 for the shops of Stonefield.
So if I know a little bit about them, not a lot. And
265,000 square feet of leasable space.
Got it. So they tend to do projects like Stonefield. This is not a Stonefield project.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I think, and I hate to say this, and nobody ever wants to hear this, because as somebody once put on Facebook, X Park is the last little, and this was positive how they said it, X Park is one of the few last little bits of weird in the city of Charlottesville.
What do you think? I have my office there.
Yeah.
I love it.
They love, right. You got music, you got eclectic, you got art, you got family, you got food trucks, you got farmers market, you got a great brewery, you got the best real estate firm and Yes Realty Partners, you got the best animal boutique, animal retail store and Patty Zeller and Animal Connection. I mean, it's freaking amazing. It's freaking amazing.
I love it. I've been for 3 years trying to get in there.
But we're all common sense people, and we understand.
Don't forget about the beer. Did you mention the beer?
I said the beer. That's my favorite brewery. People knows. My wife's favorite beer is Ghost. My favorite beer is Minuteman. We all know your phone's blowing up. My phone's blowing up over here. My phone's blowing up over here. Okay.
And for you, it's worse. I got hearing aids, so it starts talking to me.
Okay, mine's blowing up here.
How about them Mets?
We all know that place is destined for housing of some kind.
So the question becomes is how is it done? And that I'm going to keep on going back to my Sigora conversation. Please get engaged, right? That the next step the city is taking, it's in the process of it, is this zoning and this whole conversation I tried to do about these different options that the city has involved, and that this is the time to get involved, to have your voice heard, so that when the zoning ordinance happens, you have the comprehensive plan and the zoning marries, and then you can have some children, which is a subdivision of whatever it's going to be. You can then move into the next step. But under the current zoning right now, under DE, I just don't think you can make that $84 million purchase price work. So I just don't see it. But some of the people on the feed that you're talking to and some of the texts that I've got coming in over here might disagree with me. I just really in the back of an envelope for 5 minutes before the show, I just can't see how the math works.
Can we talk about this question? Are you ready for this one?
And this is Batman and Robin today.
Okay,
right?
you ready for this one?
Yeah, I am.
Assessments are going, now this is commercial, X is commercial. So we have this incredibly, I don't want to use the word volatile, but this incredibly like soap opera-esque low government situation here. Okay, we got upzoning on the horizon, FLUM, future land use map, upzoning on the horizon.
You know I don't like that word.
Neil has corrected us and said it is upzoning, Keith.
I still don't like it.
Okay, we got upzoning on the horizon. We have assessments going through the roof. We have $75 to $100 million school reconfiguration on the horizon. We got to find the money for that. We got a tax rate increase that is looking like 10 cents per $100 owned, which is astronomical. And Keith's going to put in perspective how astronomical that is, right?
Yes, sir.
We got affordability, major concerns.
Yeah.
We got no more land outside of Ix. Maybe that train station parcel on West Main that he's referencing.
Of substantial size.
Of substantial size.
Mm-hmm.
Are all these influencers or factors going to push Ludwig and Allen to get really motivated on this property?
So look, we're trying to have a conversation with. We're not in the room with their decision-making process, right? We don't know what their ultimate decision is to do. All we know is we see what's out there on the public space. You know, my suspicion is if somebody offers them what they're asking for with reasonable terms and conditions, it's out there for a reason. They're going to move forward for whatever business decisions that they decided to make to go ahead and do that. As you were talking, I was just thinking about Justine's comment, and I was thinking back. I remember you probably weren't in Charlottesville at that time. Were you here when the pavilion was in the pavilion? It was just a grass field at the end of the.
I was here. What year was that? I've been here 22 years.
It was like, yeah, you might have been. It was like somewhere in the late '80s and the early '90s, and it was the same vibe that had downtown, right, down at X Park. You know, it was, just a grass bowl, and people were playing and having fun and all this stuff. Then it became this thing, this more formal thing. Their change happens, right? And maybe that's where this is going, where this is going to be more of something else than what it is today. At this point, we've all been around long enough. We know change just happens. It is what it is. But I I think under the current zoning, with the current purchase price, I can't see where this is going anywhere.
Okay, so this is important to emphasize. We're not going to say who it is. You know what I'm talking about.
If it's the same person that we were talking about before, yes.
Commercial.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
The Amtrak, his response, he's watching and texting.
Yep.
The Amtrak station is almost not developable because of the Amtrak. Emphasize that on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to negotiate with the federal government. I know a little bit about this because the Planning District Commission was actually trying to do a deal with them some years ago to try to make something happen, and it hit a brick wall because of you have to deal with the federal government. Amtrak's the federal government. It didn't go anywhere.
And he also says that 4.8 million, he or she, that 4,800,000 plus is probably accurate for about 2 to 6 acre pieces.
Oh, that I would not disagree with, and that's so the total purchase number I have a problem with. I just don't see it's working. But he or she, whoever's speaking to you, is speaking to you right now. So I've often had this conversation with, let's say the folks that are involved in this parcel. There's a couple of really neat little parcels within this total 17 acre parcel that would make some really awesome affordable housing and general housing thing. That parcel, in my opinion, can be redeveloped in such a way that it keeps its own vibe that it has on it, plus meets some of the housing needs on it. Not at 84 million. And that's he or she are speaking to you is exactly right. You know, you can keep the building the way it is, you can keep certain things where it is, but there's some really neat parcels or sections within that total 17 acres that is worth every bit of that $4 to $5 million an acre, and some magic can happen with that. But that's not the way this is listed. The way this is listed, it's the whole shooting match. If it was, hey, we're just gonna.
But Ludwig and Allen, wouldn't they be better served chopping it up into digestible parcels at a higher margin and making more money?
Not if somebody's going to give them $84 million for everything or not.
Yeah. It's like a bulk purchase versus individual units.
Yeah, so
a slice of pizza, you can get more margin out of selling the whole pie.
So he or she that you're texting right now is the best at this? The best at the best. The best of the best?
Yeah.
And I don't, he or she that you're texting with, we doing a good job with this?
We're doing a great job. Because I want to make sure he or she continues offering insight about this stuff for me.
Does he or she that is anonymous...
He or she, if you're watching, here's the question for you from Batman. Go, Batman.
Does he or she think that this is worth that number? And I think he or she answered that by saying, no, maybe a couple of parcels are, but not the whole thing. I just don't... that individual, there's nobody better at what we're talking about. Surely way better than I'll ever be.
The bubbles are showing up on the phone right now.
Yeah, way better than I ever will be. On
the response is parcels, yes.
Yeah.
More bubbles coming on the phone right now.
Yeah. So he or she and I are on the same page. So that's in my
overall no.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So and he or she would know this better. And you're 100% right. So if he or she or I were consulting or working with these sellers, that's the path I would say. See, look, how about we cut off a couple of pieces?
Chop it up
a little bit.
One slice of pie versus an entire pie.
Pick up the phone, call up Sunshine at PHA and say, hey, here's an opportunity. Can you get some LIHTC money? Can you, are you interested in this? Make it more community-based kind of decision on it. That to me would be the right approach, but what do I know?
I got more bubbles, and I'm going to ask he or she that are texting right now. Our master plan is to protect the art park and treat as an amenity. Also, one thing to highlight.
Say that one more time.
Master plan is to protect the art park and treat it as an amenity.
So the current comprehensive plan with the FLUM. Are we saying that it's supposed to be treated as an amenity?
Is that the master plan he or she of the city and local government, or what Allen and Ludwig would want in a transaction? Because if I can't imagine that's Allen or Ludwig.
Well, the real person to ask that question is Neil, because he devours the comprehensive plan and knows it line by line. I don't claim to know that on that end of it.
They're saying, person saying owner should master plan the whole parcel
Yeah.
and keep the R park, then sell parcels.
So he or she,
Yeah.
or the same exact advice I just said, that if I was sitting down with the property owners on this, this is how he or she or I would say this is the best path forward. Master plan it. That's 100% right.
Explain that. Explain that.
So,
what he or she is saying here.
Yeah. So when you use the word master plan, there's two different portions to it. The one we're talking about is the comprehensive plan, which is the what is the FLUM? I hate that word. The future land use map, which is a master plan, right? It says this is our master plan. You and I can take a look at this building, right? And you can say, okay, this is the building. We want a master plan. And what is this going to look like year 1, year 2, year 3? So he or she, what he or she is saying is, okay, let's get a piece of paper. Let's get a map. Let's say, okay, we've got this existing building. We want to keep all the tenants in here. We want to keep the park. We want to keep this. What do I have left over? What can I do? And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. What can I do with the DE zoning? I'm going to carve off. So if anybody's really familiar with this parcel, as you come in it off of, like driving.
Is it Elliott?
I can't remember the street. No, not Elliott, but it's a cross street off of Elliott. I literally drive it a half a dozen times a day. I can't remember the name of it. But there's a barber shop on it. It's
oh yeah, that tiny barber shop. That looks super cool.
There you go.
There's a little convenience store right there. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And a shout out to them because that's who did my hair.
Okay, well they did a good job.
So as you go in on your left, there's like a parking spot where I believe a church parks a lot of its vehicles. It's a couple of acres.
It's massive.
Now, to go back to the
That's where that dumpster is, where the trash is thrown off. It's the parking lot off the main parking lot.
Correct. It's to the left, right?
Yeah.
It's overflow parking.
Yeah.
Right. We all need.
It's usually always empty unless it's like the no good beer festival is there.
Got it.
Or the church on Sunday is full, which it hasn't really been because of COVID.
Or when you do the farmers market.
Or the farmers market.
But,
or when Yes Realty Partners is crushing it and has so many clients coming in that the parking is overflowing.
You're unbelievable. ABC, always be closing. But what he or she is talking about is what I was trying to do in my feeble way is that master plan and say, okay, look, this is this parcel right here. It's 2 acres, whatever the number of it is. It's like what I've been trying to do with the Cherry Avenue property on IGA for years, right? And say, okay, look, this is what we can do in it. And be an active participant in the process. Yeah, they could carve that off. If that's 2 acres, I see $10 million for those 2 acres all day long, twice on Sunday. So he or she is spot on. A little bit of underground parking, do some podium construction in it. I wasn't able to pull up the DE zoning. I can't remember how many stories can go up, but so that's literally what he says. So, okay, so we're going to do the arts is going to stay where it's going to be. This portion we're going to turn it into that. We'll have additional. This is how we'll handle the parking, and turn it into a master plan.
He or she is saying right now, and it's interesting. Comments are coming in on Facebook and on Twitter and LinkedIn for he or she that is texting me on this phone, which we are talking about on the show. This is literally like as interactive media as you can possibly find right now. And on he or she is saying the other large parcel that you need to discuss is the Wright's Auto Body parcel. I believe that's over there, he or she, right, by Beer Run.
Yes. So in my vernacular from back in Brooklyn, we'd call it a junkyard. But he's 100% right. He or she is 100% right. I forgot about that parcel.
The junkyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is massive.
Well, as a recovering developer and builder, the first thing that would scare the hell out of me is the phase 1 environmental on that. It's got to be nasty.
What does that mean?
Well, you got vehicles with oil and stuff leaching into, over time. And that's what I was trying to go back to your study period, right? Because that's generally what happens here. If we were going to do something on that parcel, first thing I'd do is bring in environmental engineers and start drilling holes and saying, okay, do we have an environmental problem here or not?
Bill McChesney is saying Market and Mead for the Wright's Auto Body parcel. Joanne Mackey is saying...
So it's right at the edge of Woolen Mills.
Yeah, that's by
Yeah.
Beer Run. Joanne Mackey is saying on Facebook to he or she who's texting me, then why was time wasted in listing it this way? Someone must know something that we do not know.
Yeah, I think, look, that.
And she also says this, and then I'll get out of your way, Keith Smith. So why was time wasted in listing it this way? Someone must know something we don't know. She's watching in Keswick.
Yeah.
She also says this, there is a waste of airspace all around. All one level right behind here. One level in this land value market is bananas. Code building, Joffrey's building, has started the change of developing upward. So she's got two parts to her statement for he or she and you.
So that upward development started long before code, right? You had the Omni, which is pretty tall, not as tall as code. You have our famous.
Well, the tallest building in the city of Charlottesville is the old Monticello Hotel.
Correct. That's exactly right.
The old Monticello Hotel is the tallest building in the city of Charlottesville.
Got it. Yeah. Plus our little monument that's vacant on the downtown.
The Dewberry.
Yeah.
The extorting emperor of empty lots.
I did not say that.
I said that.
You said that. And then I've forgotten the name of it, but right across from code, and he or she will know the name of it. It's a white building. It's considerable stories on height.
You're talking about where the livery stable is?
No.
Are you talking about Bill's building that's undeveloped? That had the condos?
That's exactly right. I can't remember the name of that building. So that's multi-stories also, and on that end
I think it's
of
the
it.
Water Street condos?
Yeah, but to go back to why they did this, and look, they're testing the waters. They're throwing this out there. I personally would not have done it this way. He or she that you're communicating with would probably advise his client the same I would advise my client not to do it this way, to do more of a master plan, but they made whatever business decision that they did. And I just, I don't think this is, he or she who you're texting with is 1,000% smarter than I am on this end of it, and we ended in the same place. Carve off a couple of parcels, do a master plan, get yourself $10 million for a 2-acre parcel or whatever it is, and leave the just master plan it from that perspective on that end of it. And who knows? This is just out there. Keith and Jerry can get together and hire he or she that we're talking to represent us and make an offer and say, look, because this is the reason why, if you look at the listing, the ranging on the square foot on the acres is between 6 and 17. We can walk in there and say, I'll tell you what, let's do something with this. Here's my LOI for this. Here's my study period.
All right, so I'll play devil's advocate with you. You guys are the pros. I'm just a guy with a microphone and a following here. Devil's advocate is this. Okay, this devil's advocate.
I gotta get to my math.
I know, we will. And then we're going to go long today, if you have the time to go long. I mean, it's freaking on fire right here.
The problem was just
You're out of coffee?
No, it's what it does to my bladder.
Oh, you're saying you have to hit the head. Yes, the man has to hit the head. Lonnie, we're going to get to your comment here. Lonnie Murray.
So to be sure, I do have a hard stop at 12.
Okay. Lonnie says, I wonder if there could be a RCRA/EPA grant for that site that you guys are talking about.
So we're back to
rights, the junkyard.
Yeah,
I would imagine that.
Yeah. So here's, and that is a strong possibility, but somebody first has to spend the money to do the study. Then the study tells us what's going on. Then you start looking at options, right? So somebody has to walk in. Somebody has to walk. So not only is this $84 million, but somebody has to spend tons of money to do study work during the study period. They're going to, before they even purchase it.
People are offering you advice on the feed of how to urinate quickly and still host a talk show. No, you're not doing that. You're not doing that, dude. Put that cup back on the table.
No, I'm getting to that certain age, so maybe
put that cup back
maybe.
On the table.
Huh? What was that?
Put that cup on the table. I'm not doing that. All right.
Is somebody suggesting depends?
This is the question. No, but we're not going to do the cup under the table in the studio.
So somebody's suggesting depends.
Okay, so here's the
he or she. Thank you.
Yeah, dude, for real. I actually said thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I want to say thank you publicly. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for your contribution.
So here's the question on Ix. If you start chopping that up into smaller parcels and piecemeal selling it to improve margin, eventually you're going to be left with some not as wanted parcels that are going to be essentially given away. Not given away, but sold at a price point that is extremely low, and maybe that's how you maintain the art park, music park of the venue.
Well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to put it in layman's terms.
So one thing that, my wheels were turning because I thought this was going to be talked about today on the way in. If I was representing or doing this, you put in your LOI, you put in your offer with this long runway of study period. Oh, by the way, you operate under what's called an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. None of the direct parties can talk about this publicly. The very first thing I want to do is take a look at all the leases and see what that math looks like, right? So if I have leases, how long are they there? What kind of money you're putting in there? Are they receiving enough money to pay for what they've got going on? We don't know any of that. And that's what happens in this process, where he or she is right, and you carve off these parcels, that takes some of that off the table.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So here's another question that needs to be discussed. Question that multiple people are asking. Ludwig fights the assessments.
Yeah. Well.
And then puts it on the market for the most crazy high number ever, $85 million. Where do you want to go on that topic?
God bless America. I don't.
Are you going to sidestep that topic?
I'm totally sidestepping that.
Okay. He has done that.
Yeah, I mean,
marginalized the value of the property and has said, basically, I'm doing this as a utility for the community, a gift to the community, an art park and music venue, and then $85 million.
So I'd love to get the man here and ask him that question, right? So, but look, it's anybody's right to contest their tax assessment, which we're going to talk about hopefully here in a minute.
Absolutely. But if you're contesting tax assessments and then you list it for $85 million, won't that backfire against you next assessment time?
So if the play is I'm going to sell it and not going to own it and I'm going to put $84 million in my pocket, why the hell does he care? Right? If the play is that this is really not going to happen, which he or she and I think agreed to, that I think a year from now this will still be on the market at $84 million. This is the market. This is how this works. By the way, this is not mutually exclusive to commercial. You kind of get this conversation happen at the residential side. Some people will fight their tax assessment and put their house on the market a little bit more. That's not an uncommon thing. This is just a big number, a big divergence of numbers, right? 20 million versus 84. I'm not smart enough to do that percentage on there, but that's multiple times more. I contested my taxes on my home, and if I was to put my home on the market, it'd be way higher than tax assess. So
you're saying that's the game?
I don't want to, everybody doesn't want to pay more taxes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Nobody wants to pay more taxes. I mean, that's just human nature on that end of it.
Neil on Twitter, urban mixed use node. Urban mixed use node.
Yeah.
And the definition of an urban mixed use node is this: urban mixed use districts that support community housing, employment, and commercial development.
Absolutely. So to go back to the master plan concept, right? So he or she and Neil and Keith and Jerry are sitting down having a conversation with this slide in a little bit of sunshine Maton from PHA into the conversation. You could say, look, I don't know what the size of this parking lot is. My ballpark, it's anywhere between 2 and 3 acres. I may be wrong on that end of it. You know what? Let's all get together. Let's do a master plan. Let's take this 2 or 3 acres or whatever the amount is and go to the city and rezone it as a team to an urban mixed use node. That's on the books. I believe it is anyway, unless I'm mistaken. But it's on the books as far as a zoning option, and go ahead and do it. That's a possibility. Somebody can do that.
So we got to go tax rate increases, tax assessment increases, while at the same time inflation is running rampant. So we have yesterday City Council in a work session, and it looks like this is going to go. Sina McGill.
Well, it hasn't been
Payne.
voted on yet. So this was a work session. So this was just a discussion.
Work session, Pinkston, McGill, and Payne. 3 of 5 in a work session. That was covered by Molly, Socialist Dogma, on Twitter, who covers all the stuff.
Sure.
I mean, she's as engaged as anyone.
Absolutely.
Literally live tweets every freaking meeting. It's pretty amazing dedication.
Her and Neil do the same thing.
Yeah. She, in a work session which she was covering, showcased or covered that Pinkston, McGill, and Payne are going to likely vote yes on a 10-cent real estate tax rate increase.
So I've been doing this a long time, right? So all this is, and Neil, please back me up here. All this is a work session. This is a discussion. When it comes up, I've seen votes at the time for the rate, for that number to go back and forth. So what's going on here, just to put a little context to it, prior to the public meeting for the tax rate, it has to be advertised. They have to advertise and say, that there's a tax rate, and it goes out. There's a public, as part of the sunshine laws, as part of the process here, that it'll go out to be advertised. This is the rate. When it comes up to the time of the vote, that doesn't mean that's the rate. I've seen a rate being advertised of X rate, and then at the public hearing, it either goes down or it goes up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm with you.
So just the fact that they're talking about it at a work session doesn't mean that that's what the number's going to be. As we said earlier, it's a three-sided triangle, right? I don't remember what that is, but it's a three-sided equilateral triangle. It's a triangle that looks like this.
Yeah, equilateral.
Got 3 equal sides on it, or a 3-legged stool, right? So the rate is one part of it. The assessment is other, which we've completed, and then the third part of it is the budget. So what happens at this, and if you've never actually witnessed this, you should do it. This is really where the rubber meets the road. And I'll tell you, if you want to figure out, Ned Galloway taught me this.
Elmore County Board of Supervisors.
If you really want to figure out where a board is going to be making decisions, a board of supervisors or a city council, later down the road, watch these budget sessions. Because, at the end of the day, once they settle on the money and the stuff, that's pretty much how, you get a clear picture on future, in my opinion, future decisions and future projects or future anything that shows up. So this is a super important process to be engaged in, and I'm excited that folks are.
Neil Williamson on Facebook, on my Facebook. I will mention this on air to Keith Smith. I just hit enter.
He's talking about my hat, right? Here, right?
He's talking about when the locality advertises the tax rate increase, the maximum tax rate they can impose.
That's exactly right.
It's the maximum tax rate
Thank
that
you.
they
Thank
can
you for the
impose.
clarification. Right. So they have to advertise it by state law.
Yeah. So it'll be in the Daily Progress.
Correct.
It'll be in print. You want to finish your thought on this?
Yeah.
I got a thought I got to finish.
Yeah. So Neil,
how about this, Neil? Do you think the 10-cent? This is for you, Neil Williamson. If you can offer this perspective, you know how much we value your opinion here. He is the president of the Free Enterprise Forum, and the Free Enterprise Forum.
Please donate to him because he does some great work.
I'm going to straight up say it in very straightforward fashion. The Free Enterprise Forum is badass.
Without doubt. My wife and I gladly donate every year.
Yeah. Okay. It is awesome.
I don't get a senior discount, but I donate anyway.
I think his response was what?
He said senior discount was double. I'm going to charge you double. Or was that the Smith? Like the Smith discount.
So here's the question for Neil. Will the 10-cent real estate tax rate increase that's being bantered upon in work sessions yesterday that McGill, Payne, and Pinkston have alluded to approving, Will that become a reality, do you think, Neil Williamson? My take is 100% yes, it will. And why my take is 100% yes, and Neil, I'm very curious of your answer to that, but why my take is 100% yes is because Payne, McGill, and Pinkston ran on an affordable housing platform and a school reconfiguration priorities of school reconfiguration. School reconfiguration is going to cost $75 to $100 million minimum. And the first estimate that was proposed by VMDO came in high on stage one.
Well, that's if you've ever been involved in anything like that, it's always higher than everybody thinks.
High on the first stage. This isn't even the final stage.
Well, welcome to the world of contracting.
That's terrifying. That is terrifying. So here's what I'm saying is they're going to have to, if they ran on a campaign or a platform like this and they want to follow through on their promises, they're going to have to do this stuff. So they're going to have to find the money from somewhere. Here's the question I have, and this is a question we all should be asking. Everyone in Charlottesville should be asking this right here. If you pop assessments on average in the city of Charlottesville 11 to 12%, at the same time you pop the tax rate 10% potentially, at the same time there's 7% inflation that's going around in the world, certainly in Charlottesville, you have people getting hit on an assessment, a tax rate, and an inflation standpoint. What is that going to do to low income or folks living on a budget? Are we literally going to create a world where education, and I am all for education equity. I am all for closing the achievement gap. I want to emphasize this again. I am all for closing the educational achievement gap in the city of Charlottesville. But as someone put on Twitter, and I literally took a screenshot of this today. This was from Ashton Gilmore on Twitter. Okay? He said it very succinctly. To be upfront, I'm not opposed to the increase, but can we all agree that a 10% tax increase on top of my 17% assessment increase year to year to go with 7% inflation is not some nothing burger, and someone not being okay with it isn't some evil profanity who hates kids?
So is it?
That's how he said it.
So is it a 10% increase or a 10-cent increase?
It's 10-cent increase per $100 owed.
I heard 10%. Okay.
I mean, that's the same thing. It's 10%.
Not mathematically, not exactly the same because we're at 95 cents, but it's close enough.
Oh, it's close enough.
Yeah, it's close enough.
So pretty darn close.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now his property, Ashton Gilmore on Twitter, 17% assessment increase for him.
Got it.
On average in the city of Charlottesville, it was 11, 12%. At the same time, inflation. We got Williamson's answer here. You want to hear that, or you want to offer your take first?
No, I'd like to hear it because I want to go over some math on this.
Okay. So Williamson, review the candidate forum hosted that Sean Tubbs and I hosted to see all of 2021 candidates generally supportive of increased taxes. For what it's worth, the Free Enterprise Forum does not take position on tax rate increases. All right, I love the hedge there, Neil Williamson. So we all know that Pinkston and Wade are in favor of this, and we know McGill and Payne are. Dude, the collateral damage of this, and Sean Tubbs is watching right now.
So one other question I would ask: Are we in a shortfall for the budget for 20? Are we in the rears on revenue for Charlottesville?
Well, they're in budget season now.
No. I'm talking about what the season, the budget we're currently in.
I don't have that. Sean, do you have that answer? Yeah. Sean's watching now on Twitter. Sean Tubbs. He also does a hell of a job.
And he's up in Vermont too. Also,
Sean, are you in Vermont right now?
Last Facebook post I saw that he was in Vermont. So I'm going to keep inflation out of the conversation, right? So I'm just going to stay on my three-legged stool because I'll screw up the triangle.
Equilateral triangle.
Yeah. I'm just a Marine. I'm not smart enough to do that stuff. So we cherry-picked, just for the heck of it, this morning, real quick before the show, a piece of property that was $206,000 is the old assessment. Apparently, it's going up 13%. So that puts a tax assessed value under the new structure of 230 to 200, rounded up to 233,000. So the 206.
So 206 goes to 233 in assessment.
So the 206 at 95 cents, just in city taxes, this is just the city taxes, is 1,957. Fast forward, assuming the budget stays flat, right? Let's assume they're the same budget amount as in last fiscal year as is this year. That hasn't changed. Assuming,
which is a hell of an assumption.
I'm just trying to say,
Okay, for the sake of a talk show.
if all things are equal with this 10% or just 10 cents and that particular 13% increase, assuming the budget stays flat, that third leg, that particular home taxes will now go up to $244,000. I'll just round the number, $2,450 a year. That's roughly a $500 increase. I did the math real quick. It's roughly $40 a month extra. If everything stays equal on the budget, 10 cents comes in, 13% on that particular piece of property goes up. That individual is going to pay roughly $40 plus or minus after all this shakes out per month extra.
That's a lot. And that's on a home that is in the low twos.
I picked that on purpose because
that home, frankly, does not exist.
Well, it's a tax assessed value. Oh boy, tax assessed value. You know, more than likely, maybe that person's on a fixed income. You know, an extra $40, $50 a month is a big number. Anyway, just wanted to do that. If it stays all equal, right, and we don't up the budget. Now, once you start upping the budget,
which we know the budget's going to increase.
Once you start upping that budget, then that math changes.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the question. That's a normal question to ask.
You also can reduce the budget, guys.
Here's a normal question to ask. A normal question to ask. If you increase the tax rate on real estate, roughly 10% in the city of Charlottesville, at the same time, assessments on real estate in the city of Charlottesville increased on average 11 to 12%. At the same time that inflation is running rampant, and we're doing this in the name of educational equity. And I'm all for kids in equity and educational gap closing. Dude, do not paint me as the guy that's not all for that.
This is why budget season, which we are in now, is so important to pay attention to.
You're making the community even more gentrified and wealthy.
Yeah, I get it.
The school reconfiguration, when it happens, which is years from now, is going to create potentially educational equity for even more wealthy kids than right now.
So that's why
because of this.
So that's why it's so important.
You're with me, right?
I am. That's why this budget season is so important. This is why it's so important to watch it. So schools, all this other items, that's what's called a CIP budget, which is baked into the overall budget, right? So what they'll do is they'll carve out of the yearly budget a certain amount of money. They're obviously, you know, for school configurations, whatever, they're going to be seeking grants from the feds, grant from the state. So it's not all going to land on the local taxpayer, right? There are other sources of revenue that they're going to...
Well, you have, if anyone read the Daily Progress today, I would very much encourage you to read this. The Daily Progress today, the Charlottesville School Board, Charlottesville City School Board, is going to pay 20 G's, 20,000 smackaroos to hire a lobbying firm to push for a sales tax increase with Richmond.
Correct.
We're in a Dillon rule state. They got to make the call there. So, dude, do we see what's happening?
Yeah,
Does anybody get burned up about this?
But it's important to...
20 G's, school board, lobbying firm, lobby the delegates in Richmond to push for a sales tax increase that's going to come to Charlottesville.
Sure. Probably some federal lobbying going to go in that too, because it's federal. Some of that money is federal. Majority of the school monies, from an operation perspective, come from the state, frankly. That's the largest chunk of the thing. But that's why, you know, what is it? What was the... was it Follow the Money? What movie was it? Oh, that was Show Me the Money.
Yeah, that was Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah, Show Me the Money.
Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money.
But in reality, that's why budgets matter. That's why you need to look at these budgets while they're going through this process. It's open, it's sunshine, people can see it. Neil will sure as hell tear it apart on that end of it, and some other folks will go in and do that. You have to look at what they allocated for different different areas.
Joanne Mackey, you're making this better today. What is your solution then? This is a challenge as old as time.
Thank
How
you.
do we pay civil servants? Taxes. What is your solution?
And where are they going to live?
What is your solution? I've offered solutions. Solutions, sports tourism, regional sports tournaments that drive tourist dollars to the area. Tax the tourists. Tax the people looking to come here and spend money, not the residents.
Yeah.
Action plan for Biscuit Run Park. Monetize IX at a clip that's currently not being monetized. There's ample opportunity here.
Yeah. So these things, like any other business, any other challenge, requires a little bit of outside of the box thinking.
Yeah.
And some of what you listed may or not be great ideas, but these conversations need to be had, and these inputs need to be put into it. How can we do that? I'm going to be a broken record. Whoever just said that, please join the budget session meetings. Go to the work sessions. Chime in your, virtually, whatever you can do. Chime in on your opinion that we need to come up with different solutions. My home county, Fulvana County, since 1987, and Neil will correct me, but I believe we're around 97% of our tax base, maybe a little bit less, maybe 96, 95, is from residential rooftops. Our residential rooftops are paying for our budget, right? We a perfect balance would be like 30% would come from what you're outlining, commercial, meals, whatever other sources of revenue that they can pull from other than rooftops on that end of it.
Find incremental tax sources.
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
and
Brittany Gray, Jerry, I agree, tax the tourists, and she emphasizes this will destroy the middle class.
I can't argue with that at all, but we've got to come up with different solutions because if we on
Action plan Biscuit Run Park.
If we take
sports tourism.
If we take a $200,000, roughly, I'm just rounding numbers. If we take a $200,000 home in the city of Charlottesville, it's assessed right now, and add another $40 to $50 a month to it, it's going to price people out. They're just like my parents. We talked about this on Tuesday out in Fulvana County. The taxes are going up so much. They can't. They're on a fixed income. They're 80 years old. They're not making any more money, right? They can't go out and say, "Oh,
$40 $50 is a huge deal for them."
That is a huge deal.
The $40 $50 a month is what? Their grocery bill for a week?
Well, you haven't seen my father eat, but anyway. But no, it might cut into his beer bet, but it's $50 a month.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal to anybody.
Yeah. $50 a month is a tank of gas.
But that's exactly right. So that's where this inflation conversation
it's just a tank of gas.
Yeah. So somebody like my parents, he's a retired New York City fireman. He's on a fixed pension. It's not a big dollar amount on that end of it, and $50 makes a difference. Extra gas it's just making it difficult for them to stay in the community they've been in for almost 30 years.
Steve Harvey, chime in on the feed here. And you got elected officials in both Albemarle and Charlottesville watching, along with she. He or she. That's texting. Steve says Charlottesville desperately needs independent candidates running on fiscally rational platforms. The city and county's math never adds up. It's a systematic failure.
Well, to quote Neil Williamson, elections always matter. Contested elections are always better on that end of it, and I'm honored that all these folks are watching us and listening to the conversation that we're doing. But yeah, we need to come together on this, right? And elections matter and opinions matter. But I'll tell you, I'm a pretty active guy in meetings and stuff like that. I don't see a lot of other faces than the normal faces at these meetings, right? Either virtually or in person.
You're right.
And please get engaged. Please do that. That's where representative government, that's where it makes a difference.
Kelsey, watching in downtown Charlottesville, ask Keith how increased tax rates and increased real estate assessments will impact the real estate market and what he does professionally.
That's a really good question, and my answer is going to sound a little callous. It's the buyer pool is so deep. An extra $50
at the 200K price point
is well.
I mean, we should consider it.
Well, the point is, let's point this out: that $206,000 house is not selling at 206. It's selling at three and a quarter, $300,000 to $400,000.
Right.
On that end of it.
Your point is this. And I don't want to speak for you, so I'm going to get out of your way. Your point is this: it's just going to become an even richer 10.2 square miles. That's what your point is.
Well, correct. Diversity matters. Diversity matters all the way across the board. Diversity matters in price points. Diversity matters in housing. If we want to talk about housing for all, we need other options available that we're currently not getting. Henceforth, the whole conversation we've been having with he or she about X property on maybe, let's look at this as a master plan. Let's team up with the people in the community and the folks in the field. It's the reason I chair the Regional Housing Partnership, and it's the reason I put in so much of my time to bring these people together and have a conversation. I'm not adding too much to the conversation. I'm just putting the right people in the room to have
that's adding a lot to the conversation.
To have a conversation.
How about Lonnie Murray in Crozet? Fun fact, one thing impacting Charlottesville's budget is that revenue sharing has gone down by around $4 million since 2010. It would be smart move for Charlottesville to renegotiate revenue sharing to stabilize it and put the end to that long-running dispute.
Yeah, that's
$4 million annually is a big loss that could be going to schools.
Yeah, that's way out of my pay grade to talk about. That'd be a great conversation. We're trying to organize a Neil and Ned back again on a Friday show, and that would be a great question for Neil and Ned. That's out of my pay grade to jump into that.
What's the word of caution or the word of promise that you want to offer?
I'm going to stay away from caution because I'm just a positive guy. I just think this conversation we're having, what we're doing here on the network, what we're broadcasting out to everybody, if it can drive eyeballs and ears to get involved, to me, that's a good thing. The community needs to get engaged. It needs not to be the same faces, Keith, Neil, Jerry. There needs to be new faces at the table to have these discussions so we can move forward in a bigger picture. To me, I think that's a good thing. The conversation that we're having right now is nothing but good.
Keith, so much.
Look, this is great. I love this. I love what we do every day. Well, almost every day.
4 days a week. Me too. I love it too.
On the show, I love the engagements going back and forth. I love the phone calls I get later on. Hey, either positive or negative. This is just a good conversation to have.
Lonnie Murray, check out what Neil just. I'm going to actually go. Lonnie, check this out. I put it on Twitter. Neil just tweeted it on Twitter. So this job is challenging in what I'm doing here, and that I'm managing these social platforms.
I've said this more than once. I could never do that.
The 2017 report on revenue sharing on Twitter, Lonnie Murray, which I just retweeted and responded to. It's crazy times, man. And by crazy, I don't mean crazy in a negative way. By crazy, I mean in a way where it's just like...
But this is nothing new, Jerry.
It is.
The numbers are just bigger than they've ever been before.
I get that it's nothing new, but I get also at the same time that the community has, and you've been here since 1987. I've only been here since 2000. So I'm 22 years. You are 35. You got more tenure than I do.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was almost 60, but maybe.
You're a millennial at heart. You have more tenure in this community than I do. I've 22 years here, and in those 22 years, I've never seen the community more...
engaged.
Okay, I'll give you engaged. Part of that social media. I've also never seen the community more homogenous in its demographic, homogenous in its economic wealth profile.
Yeah.
Okay, there is, you walk in Charlottesville,
yeah.
and I want anyone to ask themselves, Where's the diversity in demographic?
Sure.
Seriously.
No, and that's why we do what we do.
You've noticed that.
Of course, yeah. That's the reason we do what we do, the reason why we put these microphones in front of our faces, these cameras in front of our faces. And as you remind me, that lives on forever.
It does live on forever.
On a regular basis, you remind me of that. And rightly so, so thank you for doing that. But it's funny, as you were saying that, I was thinking about, late 80s, early 90s. And what we're doing right now in this platform we're doing it in, and this social media that we're doing in it, used for the good, which is what we're talking about here, is a pretty awesome thing, right? 10 years ago, right, this wasn't happening 10 years ago. And if this property came online 10 years ago, or if this tax debate came on 10 years ago, it's a small group of people that are having this faces at the table. It was even smaller back then, that there was only a small group of, frankly, folks that were moving the ball one way or the other. So please take advantage of the ability, particularly now with this whole Zoomtown concept that we have out there.
And we haven't even asked ourselves this, and we talked about this on another show. And I understand we're up against a hard stop here.
I got 15 more minutes.
Okay. If Albemarle
my bladder might not, but I got that.
Don't use that cup. If the city of Charlottesville,
what cup? What are you talking about?
If the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County continue to become even more of a zoo, dude, I just rented one of my offices. This morning, on the second floor.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My wife is going to be very happy to hear that. Without speaking too much of the new tenant.
You should not.
He works, I'm choosing my words carefully. He works for Ernst & Young.
So he doesn't need a physical location somewhere.
Dude is working for bosses in Atlanta.
Sure.
Doing his work through Ting on the second floor of the Macklin.
Sure. Yeah. Look,
collecting bank.
Yeah.
Living in Charlottesville with a wife and 2 kids.
Which brings me back to our conversation we had with Chris and Tony about Fluvanna County. I really think, we were talking about how Fluvanna grew, and my comment was, 1968 and 69, when they built, I think it ended in around 70, but those 3 years that they physically built Lake Monticello and physically built 4,500 lots, we were going to be where we are today. The fact that Fluvanna County, Nelson County, Albemarle's now doing this stuff, Greene is now doing this whole Firefly broadband high-speed internet, I think is going to impact everybody in the tremendously. It's going to draw, because the price point's driving people there to start with, and not only is the price point driving folks out there, now they can work from home because there's a large percentage of it. Our number one question we get asked from from any buyer, frankly, from a boomer to a first-time home buyer,
is broadband.
Not just does it have internet,
the speed.
Very specific.
That was the number one question he asked me up there.
Yeah.
What is the speed?
What's my upload? I showed
him it's fiber and Ting, and he's like, let's go.
What's my upload? What's my download?
He checked it. He busted it out and checked it. Sure. So
we've done that in
homes.
In homes,
yeah. So the reason I bring this up to you is what happens when the Zoomtown, Charlottesville and Albemarle County are so incredible to live, and what happens when this Zoomtown situation gains even more momentum, and there's less businesses that are in the city of Charlottesville, and more of those businesses are out of market, but people living in this area, and the taxes that come from businesses set up in the city of Charlottesville goes down. What is the jurisdiction going to do? They're going to tax real estate even more.
Is Neil still watching?
You see what I'm saying?
Is Neil still on?
Neil is still on.
So I didn't bring it with me to the table, which was the Charlottesville Association of Realtors' fourth quarter report. But if you go ahead and Google it and pull it up, the only jurisdiction that went down quarter over quarter was Charlottesville. It actually went down. It went down, I think, in the number of sales or something like that, and also price. The ones that went up were some of the outside jurisdictions, such as Fluvanna and stuff like that. So to go back to the question about how all this can impact the market, it's not, personally, we're very blessed. We are,
This isn't fake IKEA anymore. This is actual.
Actual wood.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's laminate, but we won't tell anybody.
Is this laminate?
This is laminate. You got wood on the side.
Okay.
This is so this is laminate. Underneath that is fiberboard. But this is wood. This is actually oak right on the side.
I'm not gonna. Do you like the table? More so than the other table.
I love this table, Jerry. I wake up in the middle of the night dreaming about this table.
You're a good friend.
I asked you to change it, and you did. So thank you very much. That was
part of your encouragement.
I will do a little shout out to you. It's amazing how each month you grow what we do every day.
Thank you. We put time into it, and we do that to. We do this because we know how important this is, and we enjoy engaging with you. But I got the question I got to ask, and you're the dude that's got the expertise. If it continues to become a Zoom town, and the businesses aren't set up in Charlottesville City as much, in Albemarle County anymore, then obviously the taxes that come from business revenue, that stream will diminish.
So we're blessed because we work in such a wide area. And we're not dependent on one market over another. We're just super blessed. We go where our clients want us to go,
real estate
and
realtors,
where our clients need to go, and help them achieve their goals and dreams and aspirations as far as real estate is concerned. I'm really super interested, and I'm going to track them for our next conversations, where the trend is going in Charlottesville. If we're continually decreasing in sales, the volume of sales in Charlottesville and other areas of pickup, this is this trend. It could be a trend that people are moving out of the city. Look, we've had this conversation 101 times. Is Mrs. Smith watching?
I do not know if she's watching. Yonna, are you watching Yonna Smith? Fabulous Yonna Smith?
Yeah, so Mrs. Smith wants to sell where we are and to move into Charlottesville. That's what she wants to do. Me, not so much. I like my 2 acres. I like my toys.
You love Charlottesville.
I know that, but the point I'm trying to make is I live in Fulvana County, Lake Monticello. To get here to my office on the X.
18 minutes.
Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but roughly that's not a huge drive. Right? It's not a huge time suck. It's actually, I love it because I get to make phone calls and think and plan our day. Yonna and I always drive in together if we can. We talk business for the 18 minutes, or I FaceTime my granddaughter for breakfast as Mrs. Smith is driving and I'm talking to her. So, I think if we start increasing prices in here, to your point, it's just going to continue this rubber band effect going out. Did I?
You did.
Okay.
You did. And I would expect that the amount of transactions in the city of Charlottesville and Albemarle County year over year are going to start going down.
I think that's going to also be globally in 2022 because of the lack of inventory. And I think it's going to be
counterbalanced for people in your space by price point per inventory going up. So you are going to be doing less transactions, making potentially the same amount of money or more, because the average transaction you're going to do, as you know, is going to be more expensive, and you guys are commissioned on sales numbers.
Sure.
Okay. So it's going to be the quintessential work smart, not hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's just business, right? That's how one should run their business.
And the knock on that, we all know, is affordability, diversity, and eclectic thought,
and it's
in the community,
and I and many other realtors. I like that. I like that.
You said that right. Donna's happy.
She puts me in a corner and says, "Say it, say it."
You said it right. Donna Patton's happy.
Volunteer so much, and me in particular on trying to help this circumstances. There is no, to quote Robert Liberty, there's no silver bullet, there's a silver buckshot, and there's many different solutions to it. But the number one real silver bullet to this is communication. ABC, always be communicating and getting involved, getting at the table, and having a conversation.
Good show today. Dude, it was on fire.
I love our Batman and Robin shows.
I love the show. We
literally had nothing to talk about other than a pencil and some numbers and
tax rate increase and assessments. Yeah. Judah Wickower is our director. Judah, 3-shot and wave to your adoring fans, if you could.
Adoring fans?
Yeah. He's got adoring fans, and he's got a sharp sweater on. I love when he wears that sweater. Judah Wickower is our director. Looking sharp, homie. Any closing thoughts, Keith?
No, I'm looking forward to Monday. We're gonna have
Who's
two.
Monday?
Monday will be Maggie Gunnels and Christy Beck, and we're going to talk about Lake Monticello. We're actually going to showcase one of their coming soon listings. We're going to kind of change up some things on Monday to see if we can showcase some of the agents that we bring on their coming soon listings, or something to just listen, just to get some information out to the public on that end of it. And actually, we're going to talk a little bit more detail on some new construction that's coming out there, some actual dates on when ground will be moving and product will be coming in the ground and what type and some ranges. So I'm excited about that.
Today was one of our best.
Legitimately.
Legitimately.
I literally, these are my best. About 5 minutes into it, I forget about all the microphones and the cameras, and it's just us having a debate about something. And I love it when we take two different sides of something. I think that's fun.
Me too. Keith Smith.
But remember, yes. I'm always right.
Okay. Keith Smith, yes.
Needed to end on that one.
He's always right. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. Yes, honey.
Whatever you need, honey. Absolutely, dear. We can go there to that restaurant, honey. Sure, we can watch that TV show, honey. No problem.
Talk about that. I've been watching, catching up on the Boba Fett.
Is it good?
Well, they've changed. I don't know if Sean is still watching.
Are you 1883 or Yellowstone watching?
No, Yonna does that. I know.
Yonna loves Yellowstone?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with
Kevin
Costner. Why can't you be like him?
You can show up to your Fluvanna County a boat in a cowboy hat and some Carhartt.
Who says I haven't done that?
Oh, God. TMI.
Who said I haven't done that?
Too much.
But it's interesting. They pivoted it away from Boba Fett and they're back on the Mandalorian. It almost became a watch if you do it. Last couple of episodes, I caught up on the last two because I haven't watched them forever, and it was like, hold it, am I watching the Mandalorian? Am I watching? It was interesting. We should talk about that for hours.
Okay. This is Real Talk presented by Yes Realty Partners. Find them online, yesrealtypartners.com. Folks, their team is as A+ and as high integrity as it gets in the game. YesRealtyPartners.com. Judah, Keith, I'm Jerry. Thank you kindly for joining us. You guys have a good one. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Bravo.